Hey there, this is Andrew, and I'm going to bring you a Grim Reminder name deck opening right now. And wow, it's been so long since I've done a deck opening like this. Some of my setup is a little out of date, so I'll need to work on that a little bit, but I really wanted to get this one done. So here it is. So this one is AV8R, the Unlucky and Tranquil. I guess if you have to be the first, it's better to also be the second. Um, so the houses I picked here are Equidon, Geistoid, and Untamed. I'm interested to see if the icons that are put on the mat are derived from what's actually in the deck. That would be really interesting. I don't really know though, but I do like the new style of mat. It's really fun. Has just a little more going on than what came out of the WoW campaign. So um, yeah, I like that. All right, let me get this open. These do not seem to have any sort of like middle of the package strip, so you really have to get the edges. All right, so, and I should say, I am not familiar yet with all the Grim Reiner's cards. I've had 3 decks for a while since the Keyforge Celebration 23. But I have not gone on a splurge like looking through every card that exists. So we could see stuff in here that's entirely new to me, and that would be fun. All right, we start out with the Amber Road. That's not a new one. That's back from Winds of Exchange. It's an artifact and location. It has Omni. You put a counter on it, and then you gain an Amber for each trade counter that's on it, and then you give control of it to your opponent. One important thing to note if you're playing this card is probably when you give it to your opponent, it's going to stay exhausted until the end of their next turn because of the way the timing works. But anyway, so that's an interesting one. Very dangerous for sure, but interesting. Then we have Bonded Auctioneer. So this is a 4-power Merchant Gatrukia, and it has After Reap, destroy an artifact. If you do, its controller gains an Amber. And then it has a Scrap effect that says Scrap, return an artifact to its owner's hand. Now keep in mind that that Scrap effect happens if you discard this card from your hand during your turn. That's what Scrap means. It's a new keyword in Grim Reminders. So if you see that Scrap keyword, that means that happens if you discard the card from your hand during your turn. This is a fun, artifact-oriented creature. And I love the versatility of that Scrap effect. All right, Fortune Reverser is an upgrade with an Amber, and it says this creature's text box is considered blank except for traits. And when you play the upgrade, you destroy all other upgrades attached to this creature. Well, that's a really interesting one. Seems like it would be a nice way. In a lot of ways, this is going to be something you want to play on your opponent's cards if they have a lot of cool upgrades or just a creature with cool text. Being able to turn that off is really good. On the other hand, you could have a card with some negative text. I'm thinking of a card like Toad, where this actually makes it so Toad can reap, for example. Okay, Pen Pal is a 5-power human with action, exhaust an enemy creature, and if you do, each player gains an Amber. Interesting. Okay, so it's like you're reaping, but you exhaust a creature and your opponent gains an Amber, but you don't have to do that. That's really interesting that they chose to set it up that way. Pull Up Stakes is back from WoW. It's an action with an Amber that says shuffle 2 friendly creatures into their owner's decks and return 4 enemy creatures to their owner's hands. Very nice and interesting. Estate Sale is an action that says play purge a non-creature card from your discard pile. If you do, gain 2 Amber. That's kind of cool because you're gaining Amber while you're hopefully getting rid of something you don't want to draw back into. It was really amazing to me how fast Grim Reiner's decks ended up flipping. My daughter and I opened up decks today and played a game, and we must have flipped our decks like 4 or 5 times. It was insane. So being able to kind of shape what's in your discard pile actually could be really good there. Gemcoat Vendor, also back. It's a 6-power Gatrukia Merchant with action steal 1 and then deal 1 damage to Gemcoat Vendor. Iron Heidi is a 5-power human that says while you're haunted, she and each of her neighbors get +2 armor. That's a nice effect. Like a stronger bulwark, actually, just only if you're haunted. Permanent Record. Action, when you play it, you exhaust a friendly creature. If you do, steal 2. Wow. Wow, you're not even... so it's like Generous Offer, but you don't even have to destroy it, but it needs to be ready. So, needs a little bit of setup, more than Generous Offer did, but wow, that could be a pretty cool effect. Okay. Rumor Sower, 4-power politician Gatrukia that says after reap, your opponent discards the top card of their deck, and then you stun an enemy creature that shares a house with the discarded card. Okay, that's kind of fun. That's a lot of disruption. I think the disruption alone, being able to discard cards from your opponent's deck is going to really throw off some older combo decks. Security Detail is an action with an amber. It says a friendly creature and each of its neighbors captures 1. Okay, that's pretty simple. The Old Tinker, back from Woe. It's a 3-power Gatrukia Artisan with Elusive, and after it reaps, you discard a card from your hand and then draw a card. Okay, so that's it for Equidon. Now we'll go into Geistoids, and so these will be all fresh cards because this is the first set with Geistoid. By the way, did we have this person in here? Let me see. No. So, okay, so it seems like it's not tied to the deck. All right, well that is fine. That would have just been a cool little extra thing to do. Okay. All right, Dark Memento. I played with this earlier today. This is a crazy cool artifact. So it's an artifact with an amber. It's an item. And it says that at the start of your turn, if you're not haunted, you discard cards from the top of your deck until you are haunted. That's amazing. So what it ends up being, yeah, at the start of your turn, get haunted. So you can count on always being haunted. You can scrap it to discard the top card from a player's deck, and if that player's not haunted, you repeat the effect, which I think should actually... I think you could actually do this until somebody becomes haunted. So theoretically, you could, if both players had no discard yet, I think you could discard 9 from each player and then 10 from one of them. A 10th from one of them. That's interesting. That's an interesting scrap effect. Also could be really strong against combo decks, but I think again, if you are relying on the sort of like haunted combos in your Grim Reminder's deck, this is a really nice card to have. Okay. Next, Echo Fly. It's a 2-power Spectre robot with 1 armor. It has action. Return an action card from your discard pile to your hand. That's awesome. And it has Scrap. Archive the topmost action card from your discard pile. Order and discard pile is going to matter a lot more in this set than it has in previous sets. So something to be aware of. All right, BR Geist. It's a really strong action with an amber. When you play it, you choose a creature in any haunted player's discard pile, and you play that creature as if it were in your hand. That is pretty cool. So anything that's in your discard pile, as long as you're haunted, which if you have the Dark Memento out, you're always going to be haunted. You get to play it, and you can play an opponent's creature as well that way, if they're farther enough along through the deck. So that's pretty great. If they're not far enough along in the deck, you can boo them. So boo is an action with an amber. When you play it, you discard the top 10 cards of a player's deck. You pick which player. In here somewhere is an action with an amber. When you play it, if you're haunted, you archive 2 cards from your discard pile. Otherwise, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. 2 cards from your discard pile. You get to pick which ones. So you could get back BR Geist or... Let's see, the estate sale, the permanent record. They don't even have to be Geistoid cards. This is really strong. In here somewhere is super strong. And again, combined with like the Dark Memento, wow. 2 in here somewhere is you could like do those, you could swap those turns and just keep going. That could be pretty crazy. Although, if you have both, you probably just want to play both. Yeah, wow. Junk Restoration is an action with Neighbor. This has 2 discard enhancements. I haven't noticed any on the cards yet, so those should be coming up. We'll cover those when they come up. But yeah, so when you play it, you discard the top 3 cards of your deck, and you may put a card discarded this way into your hand. Really nice. Very nice card. And then we have Webster, an 8-power Spectre and Location, who has Taunt, and after fight, for each damage on Webster, you may discard the top card of each player's deck. Wow, just really, really interesting disruption here. That's crazy. Winds of Death is an action. When you play it, each player archives each creature from their discard pile, and then you destroy each creature. So if you use this in combination with like Dark Memento and Boo, you could make sure you have at least like 20 cards in your discard pile, and then archive all the creatures. It's a pretty good way to get your hand, or to get your archive full of cards. Pretty crazy. 2 Winds of Death. Wow. And the other thing that's really crazy here is there are no there's no chains or anything here. It's pretty crazy. Okay, I'll Be Astray is a 6-power Spectre vehicle. If you're haunted, it enters play ready, and after it reaps, you capture 1. This seems like a fun card. I like it. Soul Tender is a 1-power Spectre robot. After you play it and after it reaps, you move each amber from each Spectre creature to the common supply, and then you fully heal and ward each Spectre creature. Okay, whoa. How many Spectres have we seen so far? Obviously, this is one. I'll Be Astray is one that captures, so that turns that into deleting. Webster's a Spectre. Echo Fly is a Spectre. I don't think any of the stuff we saw in Equidon are Spectres, but that's fine. Wow, that's interesting. All right, that's a special rarity. What does that come with? Huh. I really don't know what that comes with. It certainly doesn't come with Echo or with Dark Memento, because I got one of those without a Soul Tender earlier. Same with Albia and Winds. Does it come with Webster? Does it come with Echo Fly? I really don't know. That'll be interesting to see. How does Soul Tender get in? All right. Then on to Untamed. Look what I found is an action. It has Omega. So Omega means that once you play it, your turn, you end your step, which you'll be playing it in step 3. So you'll end your step 3, which means then you go ahead and ready and draw, but you can't play or discard or use any more cards. So when you play it, you return 1 card of each type, action, artifact, creature, or upgrade from your discard pile to your hand. It's really nice, and when you've thrown your whole deck into your discard pile, that's really nice. Came Back Wrong is an action. Oh, by the way, did we see anything in here related to the picture? I didn't. No. All right, just checking. All right, Came Back Wrong is an action. When you play it, you play a creature from your discard pile and attach Came Back Wrong to it as an upgrade with the text. This creature gets -2 power and gains poison. Oh, that's really interesting. So it's like an upgrade that pulls a creature back. That's super cool. Okay, and then we have Gnarl Gibbous. It's a 3-power human. While enraged, Gnarl Gibbous gains Skirmish and Splash Attack 3, and after you play or reap with Gnarl Gibbous, you enrage him. That's pretty cool. It's a little slow, but Skirmish and Splash Attack 3 is really cool. So he's going to come into play, and then you'll have to attack. because he'll be enraged, and then I guess he'll turn back into a human, and then you could reap, but then he'll be enraged. That's kind of cool. Ooh, Nepenthe Seed. That's really fun to have in this set. Glad to have it back. So Nepenthe Seed is an artifact, an item. It has Omni, destroy Nepenthe Seed, return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So good. Werewolf Curse is an upgrade with an amber that gives a creature splash attack 3, and after fight, archive Werewolf Curse. And when you play it, you enrage the creature it's attached to. And actually, this is a really good deal because every time you're using it, you're archiving it, so now you're going to get that amber back. So theoretically, it would make sense to, like, for example, use it on Gnarl Gibbous. That would give him splash attack 6. That's pretty crazy. Or some other untamed creature if it has a good fight effect, especially. Ooh, Bog Spitter is a 3-power beast with skirmish. After it fights, you discard a random card from a player's hand. If you scrap it, if your opponent has 6 or more, you steal 1. That's interesting. Those are 2 totally different effects. That's very interesting. But yeah, I like it. Floof is back. Floof is a 3-power cat and beast with skirmish, and after it fights, you give a beast creature 2+1 power counters. Bog Spitter is a beast, so that would work great. Gnarl Gibbous is not most of the time, or some of the time anyway. Reclaim by Nature, yikes, is an action with an amber. When you play it, you purge an artifact, and then you resolve its bonus icons as if you had played it. Very cool. Skeletal Murmook is a 3-power beast that says, while you're haunted, your opponent's keys cost +2. Nice. That's pretty cool. An extra good effect, but it requires you to be haunted. Nice. All right. Spooky Charge is an action. This one got 2 discard icons. So that's both the ones from the other card. So when you get a discard icon like this, what it does is you have to discard a card from your hand. It's not random, you choose, but you need to discard. It's really nice because it means you get to filter, and so it ends up with so much discard. It seems to me like often you're only playing like the best half of your deck because you're discarding so much other stuff. So yeah, it's pretty nice. Okay, so discard 2 cards because of those icons, and then if you're haunted, forge a key at current cost, and then shuffle your discard pile into your deck. Ooh, that's really interesting. I love that. And that's extra nice because the 2 discard icons are going to help you get haunted. Although, with the Dark Memento, we're likely to be haunted anyway. And while we have so many ways to return things from the discard pile to hand in this deck, we have the Look What I Found, we have the Nepenthe Seed, we have the 2 in here somewheres. That's really a lot of recursion. Very cool. All right, Warfaline is a 3-power cat and beast with play, and after fight, you shuffle the top 5 cards of a discard pile into their owner's deck. Oh, that's extra cool. So you could actually like Spooky Charge and then shuffle that back into your deck with the Warfaline. Wow. That's pretty crazy. And then lastly, we have Witch of the Spore, who is a 4-power human witch with poison, and when you scrap her, you deal 3 damage to an enemy creature. All right. That's pretty cool. Okay, so good amount of scrap effects. What do we have in terms of amber? 1, 2, only 2 in Untamed. That makes me sad. I would like to see more amber in Untamed. On the Geistoid side, we have 5, 6. That's a pretty good amount. I'm okay with 6 in there. And then in Equidon, 1, 2, 3. Only 3. We do have some other ways to gain amber, like the estate sale and the permanent record, but still a little light. So this seems to me a little light on amber generation. Although Spooky Charge, doesn't even increase your key cost, so maybe it works out okay. And then I think we're likely to have some decent power turns. But yeah, probably still honestly wish that we just had more amber generation. That I think is probably the weakest thing here. There's pretty good board control, solid artifact control, very interesting there, and I love that recursion. I don't think this is going to be on the high end of the power curve, but it seems interesting, and I'm excited to play it. And it's my name deck, so I better try to see how much I can do with it. And I could be wrong. There's so much, like Dark Memento seems so good, so maybe um, like I said, it'll end up being, yeah, the Amber Generation suffers a little bit, but you kind of have a choice of playing which cards you want, and that could boost it quite a bit. So anyway, all right, that was Aviator, the Unlucky, and Tranquil. I'm looking forward to playing this. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and that you'll get out there and forge some keys.